Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Bite-Sized Cybercrime, the podcast where we discuss cybercrimes and cybersecurity news. This week, we will be discussing a rather embarrassing situation for the city of Columbus, Ohio. The government of Columbus was hacked, their data leaked on the dark web, but against reality, the mayor insisted that no sensitive information was revealed at all. A security researcher who goes by Connor Goodwolf spoke out and proved that this was not the case, that the citizens of Columbus were not only being lied to, but were being lied to about their data being safe and sound. When Goodwolf spoke out, the government sued him and filed a restraining order against him. So, what exactly happened with Columbus, Ohio in the first place? Back on July 18th, 2024, the city of Columbus, which is the capital and most populous city of Ohio, suffered a ransomware attack, which disrupted some of the city's services, mostly just in public-facing websites. Both 911 and 311 numbers were still able to handle calls, according to a statement from the mayor. As a side note, this happened at the same time CrowdStrike's update was blue-screening computers across all industries. So it was actually hard to say what was because of the ransomware and what was because of the CrowdStrike update. Later on, at the end of July, it was announced that their systems weren't encrypted at all, but they were still investigating the possibility that sensitive data was stolen. This is when the Resida ransomware group claimed responsibility, and also confirmed that they had indeed stolen data. 6.5 terabytes of data to be exact. This included employee information, server dumps, city video camera feeds, data from police reports, and personal information on undercover officers, including their social security numbers. Resida couldn't get a payment from the city. They just wouldn't pay the ransom no matter how much negotiating happened. So almost half that stolen data was leaked on August 8th, 2024, and their claims were revealed to be pretty true. However, despite this, Mayor Andrew Ginther stated that the information that was leaked was neither valuable nor was it useful to threat actors, and that the data was encrypted, so it didn't matter that it was leaked anyways. This was simply untrue, and security researcher Connor Goodwolf would dispute this claim by sharing samples of the leaked data with the news media. Keep in mind, this was not new information. This was data directly from Resida that had already been leaked on the web, and is accessible to anyone who wants to find it. Connor Goodwolf was interested in the breach because he himself was impacted by it, and uncovered a way worse situation than what was made out. In a report by NBC4, there were leaked driver's licenses, personal information on employees at NBC4 who even confirmed their data to be accurate, city attorneys' records that contained social security numbers of domestic crime victims, of suspects of cases, and of officers, including undercover officers whose cover had now been blown. This week, the city of Columbus filed a lawsuit against Connor Goodwolf, alleging that spreading the leaked data was negligent and illegal. They insisted that the leaked data isn't accessible to just anyone, which I don't know why they said that, because it is. According to the complaint, only individuals willing to navigate to the criminal element of the dark web and have the necessary expertise and tools to do so could possibly access the leaked data. Therefore, I guess it isn't public? This I find to be really disingenuous, because if you have a computer and are able to download a specific web browser, you can get to the criminal side of the dark web pretty easily. It does not take an immense amount of knowledge to figure this out, and ransomware groups are, in fact, very happy to get more eyes on their leaked data. They're not trying to hide it from anyone. The main reason it's hosted on the dark web and not the surface web is both to make it harder to track the group and press charges against them, or have their servers shut down by just about any web hosting provider on the surface web. Just because it's on a website that's not frequented by the general public doesn't mean it's private and inaccessible. It is incredibly accessible. That is where the problem is. The city is also seeking a temporary restraining order against Goodwolf to prevent him from further leaking this data, and is seeking damages exceeding $25,000. I understand that providing this data to news outlets is a terrible look for the city and the mayor, and that spreading this information does bring more attention to it. But it's really naive to think that cybercriminals would just have ignored it entirely if Goodwolf never said anything at all. In fact, people would then just be unaware and take no precautions against their data being used maliciously. And I understand that yes, most people would not care to access it at all. This is the case with a vast majority of data breaches. But the mayor saying that the data is inconsequential and useless, while it is in fact very detrimental to the victims of crimes and government employees, is grossly irresponsible at best and purposely negligent at worst. Some people think the mayor of Columbus, Ohio lied on purpose. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think he genuinely was uninformed, but doesn't want to backtrack on what he said. I personally believe the city has an obligation to be honest about the data leaked in a cybercrime, and although what the mayor said is not illegal, it was dishonest, purposely or on accident. I find it frustrating that this victim of a data breach is being painted as a criminal for wanting the citizens of Columbus to know the truth about what was breached after the mayor said it was nothing to worry about. And I will admit, there has been some controversy surrounding Goodwolf, with many saying he has no cybersecurity certifications, although honestly, that's not really uncommon at all for cybersecurity professionals, and has only started becoming more common in pretty recent years. A lot of my coworkers in cybersecurity don't have certifications or only got them very recently. Some people have also questioned his past ethics and have been informed on Twitter that he's done some sketchy stuff before. Admittedly, I have not dug super deep into all of that, but I also don't necessarily find it relevant for this specific story. I'm not endorsing Connor Goodwolf as a person. All I'm saying is that his actions helped inform the public that was otherwise being misled. Some people have said that he made the data breach worse, and I don't think that's true either. He shared small samples with the news media so they could accurately report on what actually happened, after the government falsely reassured people that it was okay. It did bring more attention to the breach, but victims should be informed about what happened to their data. But let me know what you think, and I'll be interested to see where this goes ultimately, but for now, that's all we know. Thank you to ARS Technica, Bleeping Computer, and NBC4 for information on the data breach and the retaliation against Connor Goodwolf. And of course, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Bite-Sized Cybercrime. My name is Chloe Tonis, and until next time, stay secure.